are signed in under someone else's name, maybe you're on one of your child's computer or a tablet, if you could go and rename yourself. There's 3 little dots when you go into your little box that should have a little pop-up that says rename. If you could put your name and then what state you're from, that would also help us. Thank you. All right, yes, Tabby, go ahead and record. I'm gonna wait for that button to come up. I don't know if I see it. Okay, we are good. All right, so welcome everyone. My name is Janelle Frost and I am the Executive Director of Michigan Hands and Voices and our ASTR coordinator. But more importantly, I am a parent of a 19-year-old who is moving on to this new phase of life and transitioning to become independent. Not quite there yet, but we are moving in that area. So what I'm going to share with you today are things that we've used throughout our journey and things that I've used with other families to help them with transition. All right, so the goal of this webinar is to gain insight into how to help our children be better prepared for tomorrow so that they can be, for today and tomorrow, and they can be independent and successful after high school. So we're going to go over a couple different things. We're going to understand what transition is, why it's important to build transition skills. We're going to practice new techniques to build transition. And we're going to understand where to find some resources on transition. All right, so what is transition? Well, the formal definition is a major transitional point in the educational system, from home to preschool, preschool to elementary, elementary school to middle school to high school, and high school to college, or out of the or a trade school or out into the workforce and becoming independent. But you know, our goal as a parent and educator, it really is for our children to become independent in whatever way that is, to the best of their ability. I know we have a range of abilities of children that are deaf and hard of hearing. My son actually is deaf plus and has some other needs. So his our thoughts of independent for him are going to be different than maybe another child who hearing loss may be their only disability and you know, may not have as many challenges today, but we want them independent. So why is this even important? Well, there's 3 major components of transition. And number 1 is to coach the student along with their family to think about goals for life after high school and like to develop a long range plan for them and how to get there. Also a design to help the high school experience to ensure that students gain the skills and competencies needed to achieve his or her desired post-school goals. I think that this number 2 is actually kind of like moved back to even middle school. We're starting earlier and earlier, maybe even elementary school, to kind of like think about what the interests are of our children and start gearing their education in that way. Number 3 is to identify and link students and families to any post-school supports or programs before the student leaves. So we want to get them, you know, linked up with any services that they can utilize once they do become independent or they move after high school. We want to do that early. So why is that important to us? And to professionals out there that are working in the field, to the parents that have a child who are deaf and hard of hearing. Well, having a hearing loss means that our children are not hearing the same information that a typical hearing child might. Very obvious. Well, there's really like this little between times of things that are happening all around us, that incidental learning and hearing that children with hearing loss miss. Because of that, we need to practice a bit more. We want to practice in a safe place, doing things to help the child become independent, you know, before they leave, before it can really become troublesome. So we want to practice in restaurants, grocery stores, schools, you know, helping them to volunteer at places and do things that can help them practice transition skills. So it's easier for that child to then maybe do something that would be independent outside of the traditional school setting or outside of your home and your everyday routine, we want to make sure that they have the skills needed. So, like I said, a lot of things happen during the between times. So I want to just kind of like give you a scenario of what I'm talking about and what transition is. So let's like think about a family situation. Your family's getting ready to go out to eat for the evening. You planned on going to your favorite restaurant. Everybody's busy getting their coats and shoes on, and then the phone rings. And it's Aunt Judy, and she asks the family wants to go to her house for the dinner. So all but the child who with the hearing loss heard that. That child with the hearing loss is busy, and they just didn't hear this incidental stuff going on. The family gets into the car, drives away, and halfway to Aunt Judy's house, Johnny sees their family restaurant pass by, and he starts getting upset. The little guy gets upset, and no one understands what's happening. Chaos erupts 15 minutes later, and they realize that nobody told him what was going on. Now, we need to be thinking and communicating any changes that take place, but that's like a transition kind of spot. Now, think about this little scenario on a bigger level. Like, think about moving from one classroom to another. Think about moving from one school to another. Hearing children will be hearing a lot more of the planning that goes along with that. Just are hearing this. So really, it's our job to help make the implicit explicit. So all that information to make sure that the child understands and gets it. Now we have to be careful because we don't want to do too much, because we don't want to be that helicopter parent, and then our children don't learn how to do these things. So we want to help them understand how to get the information, or how to be more aware of these in-between times and transition times, and also just to give them the skill set to do that. So we're going to practice. We're going to practice a lot of these different things. All right, so when do transition services start in education? Well, it starts pretty early. When the child turns 3, they go from an IFSP to an IEP, and that's the first transition that you'll see within the educational system that they will definitely be talking about. And in that, we're going to be like discussing the move of the child from one school to another, or different services that will be provided. It'll be the same, but that's just kind of like the first educational start on it. Now, at 14 years old is the next area of where you'll see transition be implemented into an IEP. And in Ohio, it does happen at 14. In Michigan, it's at 16. It has to happen, but you can qualify at 14 to start those transition, or to get the transition counselor involved. You must qualify, and there's just like a little extra things to prove that student needs a little bit longer time to learn some of these skills and goals. But it must be in the IEP at 16 years old. You'll start seeing that these transitional goals, be talking more about becoming independent. Now, having said all this, again, I want to go back to that story that I talked to you about, the scenario about helping transition a child from preschool to kindergarten, from elementary school to middle school, even from classroom to classroom, depending on how the child does with transitions. I think transition starts really early in life, and I really believe that. And there's a lot of different resources out there to help support that child, so that once they graduate from high school, this isn't all new. Or once they get to the age of 14 or 16, this isn't all new. This is just a part of their life, and they're developing these skills along the way. All right, so we're going to go over 4 different techniques to improve transitional skills. And the first one is we're going to look at transition guides and modules. The second one is to develop a parent-student report. 3, attend some camps and conferences. And 4, we're going to talk about some deaf and hard of hearing guides or mentors as a part of their life. All right, so I've put up here a couple different transition guides. The first one is through Laurent Clerc. This guide is from kindergarten to 12th grade. I'm going to try to click on it and hopefully you can see what comes up here. Yeah, great. I hope you can see that. Please let me know if you can come on if you're not seeing this. So this is a guide that goes from, again, kindergarten through 12th grade and looks at a whole host of different topics, they call them. So self-awareness is one, rights and responsibility, advocacy and empowerment. And what is so great about this guide is it's specific to deaf and hard of hearing. You can see interpreting here. If the child or student uses interpreting, and it has the grade level and what kind of skill they should be doing. This guide was so instrumental in my son's education because as a parent of, he's my only child that's deaf, that is deaf, and I don't know any other people. This gave me an idea of what he should be learning in the world particular to him. So this is a wonderful guide to help. You can see it's got career exploration and planning, and a whole, there's just tons of stuff. But again, this is, I have to stop sharing. That is particular to kindergarten through 12th grade. All right, I'm going to try and get back here. Sorry, I can't see my document.
Can you send us that in an email so that we can print it out ourselves?
Absolutely, yes, I will do that. All right, I think I lost my presentation. Hold on just a second. I will get back. I will definitely send you that information.
Janelle, it's Tabby.
Yes.
I think maybe all you have to do is click on the tab, your web browser, since it looked like you were using slides from your web browser. Because when you shared the chart, I could see your browser.
Okay. All right, so I'm not going to be able to share the charts probably, but I can definitely send them to anyone. I mean, they're valuable. You need to at least take a look at them and be able to have them for your students or your child. All right. I'm getting back. I'm sorry, everyone. A little bit of technical difficulty here. Debbie, if you want to just make sure you can see this now, you can let me know.
Yep, you're good.
All right. Okay, so the second resource I have for a transition guide is the MDE LAO Early Childhood Guide. And this one is for birth to age 5. And, so that's talking about that early age group. It's never too early to start looking at all these different things we should be, looking at, particular to a child that's deaf or hard of hearing. The third one I have is the Michigan Secondary Transition Guide. So this one is similar to the Laurent Clerc guide. However, it starts at 7th grade and goes to 12th grade and is a little bit more involvement with the students and with the professionals and the parents, where you can add your own information to it and use it as a template. But it's kind of got the same thing. It's got some grids of where the child or students should be, and then you can add their educational progress along the way. So it's a pretty neat one too. All right, now I also recommend using a module, and this is one that Hands and Voices has. I did have the pleasure of going through it with my son when he was just, I think, leaving 8th grade. We started working with this module. So I want to warn you, there is a lot of information in here. Anything you want to know about transition, it's going to be in this module. And it's not the easiest to navigate, but it has wonderful things. So the topics include laws, key information that parents need to know about transition process. And that alone, if you get through that first topic with a 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old, and you start looking at these things and helping them understand their rights and their things that they should know once they leave, it's just a great conversational piece in information for them. Then it goes from parent advocacy to student advocacy, which I also love, looking at you as the advocate and then helping the student understand how they can become an advocate. The technology that's involved, and it's always evolving and changing, which I love that they include this and they're upgrading it always. The parenting aspect of transition, which, I'm still going through that part as well. So I like looking at that through the module. And strategies to assist the process of transition. I think one of the most important thing I learned from that section was the fact of it's all well and good if you as a parent can understand what's going on with your child or the professional with the student, but we really need to help them understand and be able to explain to someone once they leave. So there's this transfer of power and helping them to become independent and feel good about where they're at and knowing themselves. All right, so the next little technique I like to use with students and parents is make a parent or student report. I think this is one of the most valuable things we can teach our parents to do starting out within even a 504 IEP, IFSP meeting, is to have them write a report themselves. It really helps to get their ideas on paper, make sure we're looking at data-driven items, and just the practice of good advocacy by being able to explain it in a written document. So what to include in this parent or student report, and you can include different things, is a kind of a template. I like to include like plans for this particular year, and then also the future, kind of like dream and, talk with the student or the child about what they want to do. Strengths and challenges or concerns, you want to do both of those. Goals for the year, and then look at any particular accommodations, modifications, supplementary aids and services that they may need. Hands and Voices has a fabulous checklist that we share with parents and professionals to go through, because parents really don't know what they don't know. I mean, I remember starting out just really being very naive to everything. So having these lists really help us. I always do motivate our parents to only choose things that are relevant to their child and not, wish lists, what they really do need. And then also the notes to the providers. So when would we give this report to the team? I my parents to try and get it to them from at least a week before the meeting. We really want to avoid the scenario of the picture on the scene. And I've gone into situations where this is what it looked like. And then once I did help the parents to get this report written and send it in earlier, we really did go from that to this. Because there's nothing better than to have a clear picture prior to the meeting of what the parents are really looking for. And as a professional, you can really work on a great draft or having a better understanding of where you need to start at the meeting. But really our goal is to get to this. So you can see that you've got the kiddo running the meeting. So, as we have this parent report, we really want to move it, and thinking about transition, we want to move it from that parent to that student. And so that the student then makes it their report, and then they're reporting to the team, so that we can be a little bit more successful in them becoming independent. All right, so you're going to want to attend some camps, workshops, or conferences. I'm always encouraging parents to do this for their children. I think it's great for children to see other individuals like them. The picture up here is of Family Matters. It's one that we have in Michigan. I know Ohio has different ones as well. I did list here some resources state resources. So Michigan, we do have a Michigan Transition Service Conference. My son and I have attended this. It's a fabulous conference. I think that it's coming up in April again. You know, and I'm going to encourage you, if you're, you know, close to that age where they're in middle school or high school, you know, to look at attending some of those. Michigan Alliance for Families has a wonderful website that has a whole host of webinars on transition specifically. And you know, you can always go to their website and you can get some resources there. And the last one I have up here is DB Central, which is Deafblind Central out of Central Michigan University. They have a program that involves transition and a whole bunch of information on their website. They do have some a conference as well, a transition conference. So it's a wonderful way to, if the student or the child is deafblind, that they can get that specific information. And then Tabby share with me that Ohio has Lifespan to Adulthood. I believe this was a website as well that you can go to and get a lot of information, and then the opportunities for Ohioans for disabilities. And the link is there. And I can definitely, you know, you'll get my email at the end. I can send you this PowerPoint with all the links attached. All right, so transition today though. We basically are in a year of transition. Nothing is of what it was for everybody. So I think we all kind of can feel that. We can kind of understand what it might be like for someone who is deaf or hard of hearing. You know, they just have a little bit more differences to work through. And I wanted to make sure that I had information with regarding, you know, what some extra needs are for these transitional skills in this day and age. So one of the best places we can go to get information on COVID-19 and the rules and laws regarding our children being deaf and hard of hearing or students is the National Deaf Center. They have really done a fabulous job on their website, giving tons of information to help our students or children. So I encourage you to go there. Our own website, Michigan Hands and Voices, we do have a place for parents and teachers to go to specific to COVID information, doing a lot of different things. We have some clear masks, shields, you know, so those are some better, and say some more tools that we are able to hand out to the families, and just some great resources. And you can get in touch with us with our advocacy help within that website. All right, so my last thing that I think is really important to help with transition is to attend events with deaf role models, deaf or hard of hearing role models. I think there's no better way for our children to learn than to learn from someone who has lived the life and can share from a personal experience. So, you know, I'm just going to share my son. I've really made it a point for him to have relationships with those that are deaf and hard of hearing. I can tell you it's night and day of him listening, especially as a teenager, you know, to someone who's hearing than someone who is like him. You know, he just gets it. He's excited to talk with them. And I've definitely called on some of those adults from time to time to help him with some situations in his life. So I really think it's important that throughout the lifespan of our children that we are supporting them with the population that best knows how to support them. So the next steps, thinking about all the things that we talked about, and just some possible next step is maybe to, if your child's 14 or the student's 14 or older, talk to the team about adding that transition counselor. That is needed. We need to make sure that that happens so that they have the proper support moving forward. Join the Hands and Voices transition model that I put up there. I think, again, it's tons of information for you to use. Make a student parent report, or if you're a professional out there, encourage your parent to possibly do this. You can get a copy from us and we can share that with you to give to them. Attend a camp or conference. So key, helping our children to be able to see others like them, and also for us to keep learning. And maybe attend an event with a deaf and hard of hearing guide or mentor. We do have one coming up. I listed this here. We have a new series we're doing with Michigan Hands and Voices. It's called Keep Calm and Ask Me. We have two deaf, hard of hearing adults that come on a 1-hour event and just share their experiences and stories. And this is a very open discussion type of event. So they share, and then the parents or professionals are allowed to ask questions. So you can go onto our website and sign up for that. All right, so here is our information. Contact us, our email and website. And if we want, Tabby, we can open up for any questions, or if there's anything in the chat box you want to mention. I think we've got 2 or 3 minutes left. I'm sorry. I can go over if you need.
Hi, Janelle. This is Tabby. There have been no questions in the chat box. So if you have questions, please feel free to turn on your mic and or your camera and ask away. Janelle, do you want me to stop recording now?
Yes, yes, I can. And again, I want